The Claw Blade, the incredible two-sided weapon that has you feeling like Captain Levi from Attack on Titan as you blast through the air, spinning and ripping through the target like a human Beyblade, and you'll target the weak points without mercy with unrelenting attacks and combos leading to your ultimate move, smashing straight through the Kemono at lightning speed, basically becoming death from above. This is easily my favorite weapon in Wild Hearts, and today I am excited to go through this guide so that you can make the most of this awesome concept and weapon. So let's jump in. So let's jump in with the basic combos, an overview of how to play this weapon. There's going to be a few types of attacks that I need to explain. I'm going to be talking about light, heavy, and special attacks. Light attacks on a controller would be something like square or X. Heavy attacks would be triangle or Y. And special attacks would be the RT or R2 button on a controller. There are two modes to the claw blades though. There is the claw and the blades. Now from standstill, you'll mostly be using your blades, but by using a special, you will use the claw attached to the enemy, and then you'll be able to use the claw attacks. So let's go over the blade attacks to begin with, which is what you'll start every fight with. By attacking with the blades, you can see I'm building a meter, that blue gauge at the bottom left of the screen, just above the health bar. And as I attack, that fills and fills and fills. Now it's full, we hear a sound effect, and we're ready to go with the claw when we want. The basic combos of the blades are actually quite simple. You have the light attack combo, which is quite straightforward, sort of moving forward and dealing damage as you go. You have the moving forward and using a light at the same time, sort of a dash attack. You have a standstill heavy, which will send you backwards, or if you're moving when you use the heavy, it'll do a dash forward. By combining these, we can do an infinite combo. By doing light attacks, and then the moving forward heavy, and then back to light attacks, then the moving forward heavy, you can just infinitely change standing combos. There's also aerial moves though, which is really important for this weapon. For example, there's the aerial light attack combo, which is one of the best ways you can generate gauge. And there's the aerial heavy attack, which is this downward slam, which is sort of like a Levi spin in a vertical way. An incredible combo then is to do a standing light attack combo, then jump and do a aerial light attack combo, and then end that with the heavy slam down for many hits at once. Should you find yourself in the air and want to get out, you can use the heavy attack to get down really quickly, or in those shorter punish windows where you want to reach up and slam down, you can just do that on its own. But those really are the basics of the blade. It's really not that complicated. Where things get mostly interesting with this weapon is obviously the other half of the weapon, the claw. Because I have full gauge, I'm going to have the maximum stamina on the claw, which will be represented by this circle on the target. When we claw, we will be thrown away and we'll be attached with our rope, as you can see. From here, we're extremely mobile and aerial. I can jump up high and get my new in-air evade, which has iframes and is an incredible reposition tool. While in the air, I can press special, which will drag me to the target to get me close to it to then attack. You'll note that I can still claw with no build-up, but you can see the circle is barely full at all, and that's not nearly enough time to do many combos at all. Should we find we want to end the claw and heal or something, you just need to put your weapon away by trying to sprint, and then you can do something like a heal. So now let's talk about claw attacks. We can use the special attack to draw us in. That provides us with a unique light and a unique heavy combo. So while in the air, special drag, and we'll do a light attack. That is that vertical spin again. What's great about that is you hit many times on a specific spot where you have landed the claw specifically. So this is great for targeting, say, a tail or a head or another weak point and dealing specific damage to it. On the other hand, we have the special heavy, which is more of a horizontal spin where you will go through the target. What you'll note is you want to time this so you actually land the blow, whereas if I just blindly do it, I'll spin right over the enemy, barely hitting it. So here's how I use the claw. I try to land the claw on the weak spots, such as the head, tail, or other breakable parts, and then focus that down as much as I can when there's a safe punish window. Now, every time I actually do an attack, you can see that I'm generating some sort of power. Now I have this red aura around me, I can do the super. The super is only active on the horizontal heavy attack, so the spin, and then the super end will automatically land, which as you can see, deals a lot of damage in one hit. So the basis of this weapon, assuming the Kemono is just doing nothing, is to get your gauge filled as fast as possible by attacking the monster as much as you can. As soon as the gauge is full, we can go ahead and activate the claw, and then we want to build up super. Now we can do the horizontal spin with a heavy over and over, as many times as we like. This works better on a bigger Kemono we can do many attacks through. And it's a great evasive movement because you're attacking and moving at the same time. But when we're finally powered up, we can do another one and end it with the super. The thing is, most of all, I find myself doing the vertical spin on the specific target that I'm trying to break or damage, or the weak point like a head, and then once I'm powered up, I'm looking for the opportunity. The monster's moving around, it's moving around, it doesn't attack, now it's vulnerable. I have the time to actually go for the super and not get hit when I do it. It's really important. One final tip for when you are in your claw mode is that you do not have to go in at any point. You can just let the stamina go, keep evading, stay in the air, or just use a jump to move backwards and move well away, detach like that, and then safely heal from very far away, or up on some terrain for maybe a safer point. But now the basics of the weapon are out of the way, let's quickly talk about the 4 standard Karakuri. Each weapon has a unique attack with the Karakuri depending on which you're using. So for example, if I use the crate and get a single crate jump and then do an attack, I will actually do a plunge attack, giving me, as you can see, a quick claw usage. And that might allow me maybe 1, maybe 2 attacks while in the claw if I'm lucky, but you gotta be quick. The thing is, each crate that you actually place, say 2 or 3, the 3 being the cap, you will increase the damage you do with a crate jump attack. And in the case of the claw, that gives you more stamina on the claw immediately. So we're already at nearly 70% there to begin with. And then we can immediately go, maybe look for a super, and start a fight like this. In fact, it's a great way to do this because building up your gauge to begin with leaves you quite vulnerable. You're on the ground, you're not so much agile like I am here. Whereas going for a triple crate is a great way to get your first claw gauge going and work from there. Next we have the spring jump, which is pretty standard. You just leap forward and attack while moving. This is that sort of horizontal spin. This is great for bigger monsters because you will spin and hit through their hitbox, but not great on smaller monsters, as you can see. Next is the torch, which is pretty universal. When you walk through it, you will do a fire attack, and then you can see that my weapons are now buffed up with fire, so they're actually dealing fire element every time we attack. When you trigger fire on a Kemono, it doesn't just do damage, it'll even CC it, knocking it down, causing it to freak out while it's burning, giving you a huge DPS window. Lastly, for the 4 standard Karakuri attacks, there is the glider as well, which you might imagine, a glider being in the air, this isn't going to be that useful, I'm already quite an aerial weapon. Well, if you hold special attack from the air, you have a long time to accurately aim a claw attack from range. And as you can see, I'm able to aim for the head, tail, or other breakable parts very accurately and pretty safely if I do it from some range. I can be very efficient with this and get a quick claw burst on a target point, especially if I've got gauge to actually have some stamina. So as you can see, the claw blades aren't an overly complex weapon. Really, there's only a couple things you can do on the ground while you're building gauge, but maximizing how to build a gauge is going to be vital so that you can get into a claw mode as quick as possible. As you can see, it does not take long to do so. Clawing correctly onto the weak point, be a head, be a tail, or other breakable part, is going to be very important. Accurately maximizing your damage while in the air by attacking that specific point is really key. If I'm just blindly attacking and maybe horizontal attacking all the time, I'm never going to do maximum DPS. Finally, we have a quick word on equipment that I would recommend you use as you're playing through the game. The difficult aspect of making a guide like this before the release of the game is that I don't want to spoil you guys on the full release and all of the different Kemono. What I will say is that there are sort of 3 main routes, but all of them take you down various options with different elemental paths, ailments, and also even changing a little bit to blunt damage. I think the safe bet is to go more neutral damage and not really worry about elemental, because if you make a fire weapon, you might end up fighting fire Kemono as part of the story and be kind of out of luck. But if you're willing to go the distance and make multiple elemental weapons and swap based on what you're facing, then that can be worth it, but it's a lot more investment during a playthrough. Whereas for armor, things are a bit easier for me to recommend. You're going to be looking for damage increasing options as you go, and the most obvious version of that is the skill Savage, which you can find on specific pieces, such as this early one from King Tusk. And the next Savage piece will be the gloves from Spine Glider shortly after. Through an original playthrough though, you can look for simple buffs like health boost, or core boost can be a great pick because it will increase your maximum stamina and help you manage the gameplay. If you're struggling to get, say, Savage on every piece, that's understandable. There are other skills that increase attack, like Fleet Foot here, where we do a slide and get a small boost for a period. But that's my general advice as you go through your playthrough, without being specific and spoiling anything. But there you have it, that is my overview and starting guide for your Clawblade. I hope this was useful and interesting to you. As I've said, this is my main and favourite weapon, and I just find the gameplay just so satisfying. That mix of building up the gauge as fast and efficiently as possible while being very agile, and then getting everything going by hitting with a claw on that, say, weak point like the head, or a breakable point like a tail, and going absolutely ham on it while actively evading attacks and dealing damage at the same time. It certainly takes a little bit to get used to this kind of strange movement, especially when you're in the air like that, but as soon as you get comfortable, it is incredible. For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.